so you guys watched the stop motion animation on the weaving, and now you're going to be making your own looms. They used a piece of cardboard. We're using a piece of mat board. Okay, so when I zoom out on this mat board, okay, we're going to be working on the short side. So we're going to be working on the bottom and the top. Okay, so I'm going to zoom back into the top here on the short side. And I need to make a mark every 1/4 inch. Let me just adjust here. Okay, so when I'm making a mark every 1/4 inch, I can start my ruler anywhere on any inch mark. Okay. All right, now I need to take my pencil and I want to mark right up next to the edge every 1/4 inch. If you have a problem finding the 1/4 inch mark, please ask for help. So I'm going to do that all the way across. And it is important that you keep your ruler really close so you don't do something like this and guess where it is and make the mark that's off, okay? We want to make sure that these are pretty exact. This is what is going to hold the warp string or the yarn pieces that go up and down on your weaving. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to place my finger here. So I want a finger width from the top. I'm going to lay my ruler down. Okay, I'm going to draw a line across, and that's going to tell me how far down I need to cut. If you cut too far down, you go into the space too far. And then if you don't cut down enough, it's not going to hold on to the yarn. Okay, so when I'm cutting, whether you guys are using the orange scissors or the large X-Acto knife scissors, don't use the tips to do this, okay? Use the back side of the scissors. It weakens the scissors and it actually breaks them. And it's easier, leverage-wise, to use the back side. Okay, so we're gonna cut all of these out. And we're going to do this on both sides. So you're going to repeat all of the steps that I just went through on both short sides. So I would do it on this side, measure a 1/4 inch over here, make my finger mark, take my ruler, draw my line, and then cut the lines on that side as well. Great. So you guys can pause the video anytime you need to get the steps done. I paused it so I could continue cutting on both of the short sides so I'm ready for my warp string. The warp string is the string that's going to be going up and down. What you're going to do is you're going to choose a color, and it's the color that you choose will not show up a lot in your background. So let me show you here. Okay, so if this is my final weaving, these light blue pieces right here, that's the warp string. Okay, you're not going to see it necessarily in the inside of your weaving, but you will see it up here. So choose a color that you like for your warp string. You can choose any one. It needs to be a larger piece of yarn that's not tangled. Some of our yarns are tangled, so just make sure you choose one that you're going to be able to use for the whole thing. And then the first thing that we're going to do is cut a home. Okay, the home is going to be angled upward. So if I'm going to start right here, I want to point upward towards that cut right here. I'm going to take the tail, I'm going to attach it, and I'm going to push that in here. Now, a lot of times kids want to take the tail and then they start weaving or trying to wrap their warp string, and then they realize that they run out, okay? So you're not doing anything with the tail besides tucking it in. All the rest of the yarn is gonna come from the ball of yarn. Do not cut this yarn. We have to keep this intact because we don't know how much we're gonna use. Okay, so I'm just going to push it through, and I'm wrapping around. So if I turn this around, I'm wrapping around the backside. And I'm pulling just tight enough that it's not loose, but not so tight that I'm going to bend my mat board. Okay, so I just continue wrapping till I get to the other side. And I'm going to pause the video and do this so you don't have to sit here and watch me. Okay, so I finished wrapping my string all the way around my warp string. When I end on this side, I need to cut another home, and I need it to be close to where I ended. I don't want to come all the way down here. Okay, so what I do is I pull the warp strings out of the way on the front and the back, so when I cut, I don't accidentally cut them. This is the only time it's okay to use the tip of your scissors, one time. Okay, I'm going to point it upward just like our last one. I'm going to tuck it in, and at this point, I can cut it away from the ball of yarn. Okay, once you have your warp string ready to go, you're ready for the next step, which is to start with your weft strings. The weft strings go right to left. And again, you can choose any color that you want. You're going to be cutting a wingspan. So a wingspan is when you spread out your arms and your length from your fingertip is the length of yarn that you want. So I already have a wingspan of my first weft string cut out. You're going to get a needle from the teacher. You only get one, and you must return these at the end of the project, so don't lose it. Okay, so I'm going to take my needle, I'm going to thread the needle, and I'm just going to leave a tail. I'm not going to tie it. Okay, and then I'm going to start, I can start anywhere I want. Okay, I like to do the back side because I don't like these in my way. So I might flip it over and work on this side. I do not weave that. Don't weave that. So I can start either side, and I'm just going to go under, over, under, over. I like to go to the middle of the weaving because the yarn is a little bit more loose. And I'm going to pull it through. And then to make sure that this doesn't come off, this is why you don't have to tie it, hold the needle, hold your thread at the same time and pull. Okay, I want to leave a little tail on the side. And then I just push the yarn up. I can do that with my fingers, or I can use the needle. If you use the needle, don't use the back side of it because that's going to end up bending your needle. Hold the tip of it and push your yarn up. Okay. Now again, I'm not going to weave this little piece right here. I ended on this warp string over the top of it. So when I turn around, I go under. I want to go opposite. Now, if you accidentally end up going under two or you mess up, you just backtrack. Okay, now when I'm pulling this through, remember the number one mistake was an hourglass where we pull it too tight. You can go fast when you pull this through. This is how you keep from getting an hourglass. I'm going to put my finger right here and then I'm going to pull it tight. Because if my finger's there, I can't accidentally pull it too tight. And then I'm just going to push this up. Okay, and then I continue. Because I went over the top on this one, I go underneath. Okay, then I just keep weaving until I run out of my weft string. So once I run out of my weft string, sorry, my first one, I have a little bit left. It's not enough to turn around. We're going to end it on the side. Okay, if you want to trim it down a little, you can. Make sure you do leave a tail though. We'll trim all the tails off at the end, but until our weaving is tight, we want to make sure that this is long enough that it's not going to come undone. So I'm going to cut a new weft string. I'm going to go ahead and do yellow again. You can use the same string you use for your warp, or you can do something completely different. And again, I thread my needle. And I'm just going to start on the opposite side. So if I end it over here, I'm going to start over here. And I make sure I look at this one. Okay, well, this one's over the top. So I know on the second one I'm going to be under. So that means I have to go over the top here. So I just make sure that I'm always opposite. And we do the same thing when we started, which is just go under, over, and pull through until you have a small tail. Okay, so I'm just going to leave a tail on this side. I'm going to push it up. Okay, I went underneath, so now I'm going to go over the top. And then I just continue weaving, just like we did with the first one. Now I'm going to stop this one right here because I want to show you guys the box string, or the box weave, sorry. Again, I'm going to put my finger on it so when I pull through I don't get an hourglass. Okay, so if I want to do a box weave, and again, this is not required. This is something that you guys can try once you get comfortable. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to weave halfway through. Then I'm going to turn around. And I just continue that as long as I want the box to be, or until I get to the end of my weft string. I won't do a long one just for the sake of instruction, but you guys can make these as long as you want. Okay, so let's say this is the length that I want. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to choose another color. So I have a red one ready to go. And I'm going to start on the opposite side. Again, I have to make sure that it's going opposite of the weaving that's already there. Now, when I get to where they join together, and I'm going to zoom in on that. Okay, what I need to do is go every other string and they need to share this warp string. If they don't share this one right here, this weaving will leave a hole in the middle. Sorry about the focus, it's kind of going back and forth on me here. Okay, so when I get to this string right here, I know I have to go underneath this one. So I go underneath and turn around on the same warp string. I'm going to push this up. Okay, now when I turn around, again, I'm just going to pretend like I'm only weaving half of it, which I am. I don't want to pull too tight. I'm going to push it up. Okay, now red has had a turn. Now yellow gets a turn. Now I leave that gap so I know exactly where I need to turn. So when I get over here, I know I'm gonna have to go underneath this one. I'm gonna push it up. Okay, yellow, or excuse me, red had a turn. Now yellow, now red has a turn. So it's just basically every other one on the same warp string. Okay, now yellow's gonna go up, and just to even it out, I would do red one more time. And then once you finish the box string, the box weave, keep calling it the wrong thing, you can just continue going straight across, or you can start another color. So I would finish this one off, going to the edge. So I don't want to stop in the middle. Okay, and then I can either decide to take the red all the way across or start a new color completely. You will need to weave from the top to the bottom on one side, and then you need to make sure that you're pushing up your yarn, and this is what I call it ruining your life. So take your needle and you're going to push it up. And the reason why I call it ruining your life is because I have kids who think that they're done or halfway done, and then I come around and I push up their weaving, and then they feel like I ruined their life. So make sure that you guys are pushing this up. This is what's going to make your weaving strong, and these tails aren't going to come undone when you're done. So you want to make sure that you're pushing this up as you go. If you get too far down, if you weave about this far down and you're trying to push it up, you have to come all the way to the top and do 3 or 4 at a time. Otherwise, it won't push up. It'll be too difficult. So make sure that you keep on that.